Child Left Behind, plus all of the additional requirements that have come as a result of the stimulus dollars. So the very specific suggestions that we're making to the Secretary is primarily 4 areas. One has to do with the assessment. We are all very much aware of the tremendous amount of testing that's required of school districts because of No Child Left Behind. We're suggesting, first of all, that assessment move to a growth model as opposed to the current model that's in place. But we're also suggesting that the Secretary review the need to test every child every year in reading and math, resulting in a substantial cost at the state level and at the district level. We feel that a model that would look at it for accountability purposes could look at a random sampling of students and every other year testing situation that would still provide the kind of accountability that states and districts could be held to without the tremendous imposition of testing on the curriculum and on instruction. So that's a strong suggestion that we are making. We're also suggesting that the Secretary review the dollars that districts are required to spend now on the issue of supplementary educational services and choice. We know that these are 2 areas that have really not brought about the desired results, yet they constitute a significant expenditure of dollars at the local level. And if the Secretary were to review this and perhaps impose a moratorium on these penalties to school districts as a result of not making adequate yearly progress, that it could result in a substantial savings at the local level. And along with that, we're also looking at the 20% set aside that's there for supplemental educational services and choice. In many cases, as you're aware, if you're not making full use of that set aside, that money winds up reverting to the federal government. I think it's an easy fix now to provide districts with the flexibility of making use of that 20% set aside, specifically if there is a moratorium on supplemental educational services and the choice issue. We would also suggest a reduction in the amount of paperwork that's involved here. That's in addition to being very time consuming, we know it's also costly in terms of the man hours that have to be dedicated. And we're also looking at IDEA and the maintenance of effort component and the 50% of the annual increase in IDEA that if the Secretary were to provide the states with the flexibility to allow school districts to use those dollars to replace the dollars that they're not going to be getting as a result of the stimulus dollars ending, that would have also a very beneficial effect on local budgets. And finally, the issue of teacher quality, specifically at small rural school districts. We know that is a tremendous imposition. It's very difficult, for example, for rural schools to be able to hire a teacher that has all of the certifications and qualifications that they need, particularly if they're teaching in multiple areas. And the 2-year provision for teachers to be able to get the certification is not long enough, and what we're seeing is a revolving doors where teachers are hired for 2 years and then let go so another teacher can come in for another 2 years and be let go, primarily because in these small school district environments the flexibility is not there that's needed in order for so-called qualified teachers to be kept in a classroom long term. So these are the just some of the suggestions that we're making to the Secretary that we believe are regulatory changes that could be implemented immediately and result in savings to our school districts. Speaking of the Secretary, I hope you're aware that he will be our guest in Phoenix. He will be speaking to us in Phoenix. So hopefully you have already registered for the conference. If you have not, please do so. It's going to be a tremendous event, and it's going to give us an opportunity to have this necessary dialogue with the Secretary on these very important issues. The state of the superintendent survey, you're aware that we've been doing this survey now for a number of years. It gives us very important information regarding the demographics of the superintendents, a lot of the information that we need to have in terms of what our superintendents look like today and what the needs of our superintendents are today and tomorrow. As this survey comes to you, please respond to it. It's important for us to know who you are so that we can share that information with the field and plan accordingly for the future. And finally, H1N1. I'm hopeful that you're not having the tremendous issues that many of our school districts around the country are having, where schools have to be closed because of substantial absenteeism on the part of staff and students. But just so that you know, we are hosting a free webinar on November 30th that will continue to provide you with great information on and tips on how to handle this major issue. You know that the President has declared the H1N1 issue a national emergency. So we're very concerned about what's happening out there in the field. And finally, we want to wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving as we move to the end of this month of November and move into December. And we look forward to chatting with you again next month. Have a great day.